Hey, it's me, Michael Kosta. How you doing? Tuesday, March 18th. Beautiful day in Brooklyn, sunny. The trash is blowing around. Very cool in this morning on the bike with the girls, but fun. And the baby's great because I used to do this to the older one, but I would say when it's freezing, I would go, I like the cold. And then the baby goes, I like the cold. But now the older kid goes, I hate the cold. But at the beginning, you can trick them. And it's fun when you can trick them, right? Because I was trying to convince her that if you say what you hate, if you say you love it, because guess what, everybody? I don't actually like the cold. I'm trying to trick them. And so, but that is a good trick. It's something I learned playing tennis at Illinois also. There's nothing worse to me than, hold on, I forgot something I wanted to talk about. Speaking of wind and tennis. Playing in the wind is tough. I once was playing in Holland, Michigan in high school, and I was being a real brat, a real bitch. No surprise there. And at one point I was getting ready to serve and my chair blew over, like on the changeover. And the chair was there was only one umpire, roving umpire. And I got a code violation for my chair blowing over when I didn't actually touch it. And I lost my shit, of course. But meanwhile, the older me would have said, if you wouldn't have messed with that umpire 10 times, you wouldn't have gotten the warning, obviously. Pardon my dog. He's been sitting around all day. And now I start recording. He's sneezing. He's shaking. He's throwing all the pillows off the bed. Walter, just be, dude. I'm doing a thing with the team. He's looking at me like, dude, what are you going to do? Just plug your fucking book again, loser? Oh, yeah, that's right. My book is out. Holy shit, it's been out a week. Lucky loser. This has been fun, terrifying, revealing. The amount of people I've met because of this. It's all been a success because I got to share my story and also do some really cool press, meet some awesome people, did Seth Meyers, did Joe Rogan, did a book launch party at City Winery, and lost a bunch of followers because I said I did Joe Rogan. Then I gained a bunch of his followers because I was on it. You can't win. You can't win. It's kind of my whole point with this whole comedy thing is I don't want to lose liberals, but I also want to gain new people. And also, just because you do a thing doesn't mean you're that. And if you don't do a thing, then you're not that. You know what I mean? And basically, this is my second time doing Joe Rogan, which was also a surprise to a lot of you. For about an hour and a half, he just showed me MMA videos. And I kept trying to steer it back to tennis so I could plug the book. Lucky Loser, available now. It's been out 1 week. I did read the audiobook. I wrote every single word in this book. It's available now. Book signing this weekend, Saturday at the Palm Beach, Florida, Barnes & Noble, Saturday, 4 p.m. Come buy a book. Come talk to me. I'll sign it. We're going to just talk about the book. Just going to be me and anybody that wants to show up and talk about the book. I'll be also at the Breakers this weekend with my boy, Andre. It's not my boy if I'm calling him Andrew. With my boy, Andre Agassi, Steffi Graf. What? Andy Roddick, my other boy. I'm calling boys just because I met him once. And Kim Kleisters, who I got to meet in Indian Wells. So that's what I mean. I hope we're selling millions. I'm certainly not making millions, but that's pretty cool. And then I get to go on Morning Joe, a show that I love. And I get to go on Seth and talk to Seth, and Parker Posey's there and she's a nut job and she's taking pictures with me where she's standing like this. And for any of you watching on YouTube, you can see what I'm doing. She's got this scarf and I'm like, where do I put my hands when we're taking a picture? And now I feel creepy and it's funny. And I'm like, of course I feel weird taking a picture with Parker Posey because she's weird. And then I come home and I'm watching old Parker Posey Dazed and Confused quotes. So it's just freaking great. All the fun stuff you get to do. At the City Winery, I had my friends Joe Zimmerman, Rafi Bastos, El Orlando, all very funny comics doing much different styles of comedy. That's always my favorite. I just did the Nothing Major podcast, which, by the way, it is an excellent podcast. Jack Sock, Stevie Johnson, John Isner, Sam Query, and they're just hanging. I looked it all up. They've all made around 10 to 25 million career prize money. Stevie Johnson's won 4 titles. Jack Sock's won 15. Maybe John Isner's won 20. They're all like in that same world. They've all played Davis Cup. They've all, played on center court. It's just really fun to talk to them and hearing them chat. It's a really, really good hang. Of course, they made me pick one between theirs and Andy Roddick's, and my answer was, well, you can listen to the Nothing Major podcast to hear their answer, but here, let me tell it to you. In a time of male friendship recession, it's really fun having 4 men just chop it up. And they're funny, and they take your questions. It's a really good pod. Check out Nothing Major after you listen to Tennis Anyone, of course. Look, the Trump stuff scares me. It's been scaring me since day one when I said you don't lose a democracy overnight. It happens gradually, then suddenly. I said that the day after the election. I hope I'm wrong. But, the checks and balances is being tested like never before. And when a judge tells Trump to turn the airplane around or don't let the airplane take off, and they defy the judge, this is where, look, anybody who's been paying attention said this is going to happen, and now what happens? And from what I understand, the way the Constitution was written, and this is also coming from someone that was just talking to a bunch of Trump heads down at St. Patrick's Day Parade, the U.S. Marshals are the ones in charge of executing a judge's, sentence, not a sentence, or when a judge says, don't let that airplane take off, it's the U.S. Marshals who are in charge of that. Well, guess who's in charge of the U.S. Marshals? The executive branch. So my big plea to all the federal judges listening to me is, by the way, it's not like the Supreme Court is in charge of Donald Trump. All levels of the judiciary check the executive branch, okay? Don't buy this bullshit that he's saying, like how he kissed his ass to the Supreme Court. Yes, his strategy is to delay everything all the way up and appeal everything all the way up to the Supreme Court, but a federal judge is a federal judge. And this now more than ever in the history of the United States, in a constitution written 270 years ago, we need federal judges that got big dicks and big vaginas right now, okay? It's time to use the gavel. He believes he's a strong man, and he responds to strong people. We can't have wishy-washy judges. Jesus. It's just like, I know. And I don't want to be alive. I don't want to be a part of the American checks and balances deteriorating and falling apart. I hope we can withstand that. And I've long said, I'm stealing from my friend Travis right here, when Germany tried to take over the world, they were young. When Japan tried to take over the world, they were young, meaning that government was newly established. Am I a government expert, global government expert? No. Which, by the way, it always blows me away that more podcasters don't say what I just said. And I've done a lot of pods, and I've been around a lot of influential people, and it really blows me away that more of them don't go, look, I actually don't fucking know, but here's my opinion. Just say that. Just say that. Everybody who helped the president get elected, actually, I don't fucking know, but it seems to me like this. Boom. Look, I don't fucking know about all the global government history, but I do know that the United States Constitution is pretty solid. And we're not an old nation at all, but it feels like our Constitution has been compared to Germany and Japan, it's been sticking around a little bit. Am I making sense? Maybe not. Maybe not. I've also thought, whenever I go to Europe, I've also thought America needs to fucking get its ass handed to it sometimes. But the problem is I don't want to be around for that. It's going to suck. That's like my daughter's college savings. Do you really want to watch that plummet because the president thinks Canada something? So I guess my big plea in all of that, these first 10 minutes of my podcast, is I really want and need judges to be strong and say no. And what's going to happen if the U.S. Marshals show up to the Oval Office? Well, I don't think that's going to happen, but we need strength with strength. His perceived strength will respond to strength and judges and courts. We are so thankful. We should be so thankful that we have this checks and balances system. It seems like Congress is not going to be one of the checks, but let's hope the judiciary is. I saw that Roberts came out and said something today. Let me see. Chief Justice Roberts. Roberts issues rare public pushback after Trump calls for judges' impeachment. All right, let's read this. This is from The Hill. So Trump, I guess, called for impeachment because the judge did something he didn't like, blah, blah, blah. I don't want this video to play. Just let me. Chief Justice John Roberts issued a rare public statement Tuesday pushing back after President Trump called to impeach a federal judge that ruled against his administration in a high-profile deportation case. For more than 2 centuries, it had been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. He's just like a 5-year-old. I don't like it. Get him out. That's literally what my 5-year-old does. She actually does it less at 5. She did it more at 4. So maybe he's like a 4-year-old. Doesn't like how the game ends, picks up the board and throws it against the wall. Or that person's a loser. That person's a cheater, right? Like we would race. We race on the sidewalk. And every once in a while, I try to beat her. Every once in a while. And then she goes like, no, you cheated. Start over. You can't run fast. Whatever. Right? That's a 4-year-old. The normal appellate review process exists for that purpose. The Chief Justice statements came hours after Trump called for impeaching U.S. District Judge James Boasberg, an appointee of former President Obama. Of course, here we go. This is who appointed him, and that's Obama's against me. Who blocked Trump invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Do you guys realize that Trump is deporting people because he's saying it's like a wartime action based on the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. I mean, this is all good if American government learns from personalities like Trump and then adjusts. But I don't know if we are. How can you pull the Alien Enemies Act of 1798? Why is that still valid and open? This is like back when men lived to be 36 years old and like half of people died from birth. There's a bunch of people who tuned in for Indian Wells results right now. They're like, this is what we do sometimes, everybody. Invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to swiftly deport Venezuelan migrants the administration has labeled as gang members. I think he also paid El Salvador $6 million to take them. The plaintiffs have questioned whether Trump's officials complied with the judge's Saturday's order to turn any planes around, sparking a remarkable battle between the administration and the judiciary. Battle? A check. That's another way to call it. Check and balances. Here we fucking go. The radical left lunatic of a judge, a troublemaker, an agitator who has sadly appointed by Barack Hussein Obama, was not elected president. He didn't win the popular vote by a lot. He didn't win all 7. Okay, I'm not going to read this shit from Trump. Keep in mind, the harder Trump attacks, the more wrong he is. That's like how he is, right? So when he goes hard on Barack Obama and uses the middle name Hussein, and that's because he got beat or he's wronged. Remember, like when Elizabeth Warren starts to be effective, that's when he gives her the Pocahontas nickname. Whenever he's going at somebody, remember the inauguration when his numbers were low and Sean Spicer went at them like super, super hard. He was wrong. So it's like actually kind of a tell. You know, when you play poker, you can tell, you know, that whole dumb viral video of Agassi knowing where Becker was going to serve because his tongue movement in his mouth, which I don't fucking buy that, by the way. That's a tell. When Trump goes hard against, he lost and the person is right. The president went on to explicitly call for the judge's impeachment. This judge, I'm not going to read all this. Trump has long attacked judges whom he perceived as his enemies, but Tuesday's comments mark Roberts' pushback, which did not name the president, echoes a statement a chief justice issued in 2018 after. Didn't Trump shake Roberts' hand at the speech? Didn't he say something to him? Like, thank you or something? Trump, Roberts, what was that called? The State of the Union? State of the Union. Supreme Court Justice faces MAGA. Chief Justice rejects. Yeah, now it's just going to be today's news. Okay, whatever. This isn't a disagreement concerning a judicial decision. This is a full-on, broad-based effort of radical judges. Okay, God. Anyways, so there's that. We had an interesting discussion in the green room of the mothership, which, you know, I'm getting older, you guys. I was longing for more intellectual conversations in the comedy club green room this weekend. And as I was flying home, I realized, I'm getting older. There's no reason for me to expect the green room. I wanted to talk about Trump. I wanted to talk about the judges. I wanted to talk about the country, Austin versus Texas. And look, to a lot of comics' credit, they wanted to get high and talk shit, which is fun too. But I noticed that I was, I don't want to say aging out, but I did notice, I think I was probably the oldest person in the green room. I did notice that that like party green room atmosphere wasn't coming as naturally to me as it once did. Does that make sense? Let me just look quickly. We'll do this because you guys already know this shit. I think the biggest story in Indian Wells, honestly, is Mira Andreeva. I mean, oh, dude, that's my daughter's watch. We can't figure out how to turn it off. We can't figure out how to turn it off. So I spent 3 different times of about 10 minutes, so 30 minutes of my life, setting this watch and turning off the alarm. There's no manual that comes with the watch. You got to go to Amazon and watch the stupid video and pause it. And I set it, and I turn off the alarm, and I set the date. Why? Why does a fucking 5-year-old need the date? And then next thing you know, it's 2 a.m. and the alarm goes off and I'm hearing it and I'm the only one in the whole house that hears it. And I wake up and have to do the whole thing again. So by the way, if you're ever thinking about buying a child a watch, you do not need an alarm. You do not need buttons. You don't need to tell the time. You need to buy her a bracelet. That's what you need. So strong judges, do your job. Thank you. Rogan. Done Rogan twice. This is the second time. This time was more comfortable for sure. I was a little more aggressive with trying to get in there because he will talk. He will talk a long time. For any of you that need an explanation, I don't owe you one, but let me try this. For as long as I've known Joe Rogan, he has supported and amplified the voices of comedians. If a comic has a project, he has them on to promote the project. He doesn't do it the most directly way. He's not going to mention my book 10 times when I'm on the pod, but he has you on and you come talk with him. And I appreciate that. In times of my career, when nobody else above me was promoting, pushing, helping, offering any type of promotion, Joe Rogan was. So I'm super thankful of that. I was disgusted that he was at the Trump inauguration, but I was also reminded from the last time I did it that he has endorsed Bernie Sanders to be president. And I think within the first 10 minutes of us talking, we talked about how it's good to disagree and that we as people don't all agree with each other. Also, let me share this with you. I think, the fourth guest he had that week. I believe my pod with him was 4 hours long. Each pod is about 3 to 4 hours long. Let's say each pod is 4 hours long and there's 4 guests that week. That is 16 hours of content of Joe Rogan talking. He says everything. He says AI is going to eat your kids. He says really poignant, intelligent stuff. He says really dumb stuff like asking the chess champion, if the other guy had anal beads up his ass. I mean, he's what's most crazy to me is that this comedian who gets high lots of times with his friends and started a podcast in his garage or basement is now the leading voice of broadcast. And I can't have anything but respect for a comic who's created such different ways to make money and such a platform. That doesn't mean I agree or respect with everything that he said. I always have fun when I'm there. He always treats me with respect. It's not an easy pod for me to do because Seth Meyers made it so easy. Seth Meyers is such a pro. He's there to set me up the same way we at The Daily Show, when we have guests, we're there to set them up. It was really fun to be on the other side. Within 10 seconds, Seth Meyers is like, here's your book, Lucky Loser. Tell me about it. Bang. It's the same thing we do at The Daily Show. And he was a pro, and he made me feel comfortable, and he made me feel warm. And thank you, Seth Meyers, and all of that staff, and a great producer who helped produce that segment. With Joe, you got to get in. You got to interrupt him, even though you're the guest, and he's invited you. And so it's tricky, and that's not my instinct. I'm a Michigander. I want to ask questions. I want to make people feel comfortable. And you got to be pretty, not too aggressive that you piss everybody off, but aggressive enough that you get out what you need to say. I'm also picturing the publisher in the back of my head, say the book more, say the book more. Here goes the alarm again. It's unbelievable. This fucking stupid thing. That's so fucking dumb. Oh my God, Amazon, I fucking hate it. So you get to the studio. The first time I was at the studio 5 years ago, they were COVID testing everybody, which was kind of funny. And let's just put it this way. There was a lot of negatives and there was a couple positives. And the positives left the building without much fanfare, and the negatives stayed and did the pod. There was also a lot of guns around the last time I was there, and I was talking to the security guards this time, and they were like, yeah, sometimes people send us guns. We probably got a shipment of guns sent in or something. It's like, what the fuck? This time, Joe came in, very friendly, nice. Okay, no. And as you do, he showed me around the place. It's fucking unbelievable. He's got this massive MMA gym. He's got a float chamber, whatever, the zero gravity float chamber. He's got a sauna. He's got a cold tub with his face on the side. Hospitable. Nice. I did a little back extension. He talked to me about jiu-jitsu, said I would have a good body for jiu-jitsu. Maybe that's next. Maybe my next book is called Lucky Loser Jiu-Jitsu Style. So it's a trip. It's like if you gave a 12-year-old boy $1 billion, what would he do? He would build that Joe Rogan studio. So, thanks for all of you that listened and posted comments. And if you didn't want to listen, that's great. That's okay too. There's no a post. I gotta stop acting defensive. But I was a little bit thrown off by some of the negativity I got, just because I I guess I wasn't surprised, but I was just going, oh, comics do, we talk to everybody. We do everything. I'm promoting a book. Let's go, baby. I had the greatest cup of coffee in my life in Austin, Texas. It was called Desnudo Coffee, like naked in Spanish. It's this little shack across the street from the JW Marriott. And I got the Americano with 3 shots hot. And the line is like forever, but it's worth it. And it's people I spoke to were getting their specialty coffees, and they were like, dude, this is the greatest coffee I've ever had. I don't know what's going on. I don't love Austin. I know I'm supposed to. I know it's hot right now. I think everyone has moved there because of the tax breaks, which is fine, which is good, but don't tell me you're there because you love barbecue. Tell me you're there because it saved you $1 million. I also never stay anywhere. I always stay in that downtown area, and it just feels like I'm in a Vegas convention, right? But I play tennis. I want to thank the University of Texas men's tennis team. I went to the Texas Tennis Center, saw all their national championships, saw all their trophies, men and women, hung out with my old coach, Bruce Burke, who was my assistant coach at University of Illinois, who I coached under at University of Michigan. Went over there once, hit with a great kid named Riz. He smoked me for like an hour, and then I played one good tiebreak, and I took him down. But that's not even fair for me to say because he was so incredibly generous and kind. He had already practiced twice that day with like high level tennis players. And then I came in and just hit for a little bit. And then the next day I did a cold tub in their fucking awesome facility. Felt great. Great. Such a cool thing to go back into college tennis for like 12 hours. Did comedy at the Mothership, which is an amazing club. They've done such a great job. The green room hang, the 2 rooms, the clocks, so you know where everybody is. There's lights. You know when someone's being lit. It's very well run. It's none of the bullshit of so many other comedy clubs. Amazing security, amazing staff, friends from so many LA Comedy Store people. A fun night out, a great bar downstairs called Mitzi's, which is a tribute to the founder of the Comedy Store, Mitzi Shore. The green room has the set lists up of Rodney Dangerfield, like in his handwriting. I mean, just very, very cool shit. Not to mention eruptive, right? So what am I doing wrong? Is this the timer? That's the stopwatch. I mean, I'm honestly I'm gonna take the whole fucking thing apart. I guess I have to keep it here. I don't know what's going on. Eruptive responses. Rogan told me they lowered the ceilings to make it the sound better. Just really, really great sound. Really a great club. My only complaint with the Mothership is 6th Street. 6th Street Austin blows. It is gross. It is when I would go there 20 years ago, it was calmer with great live music and just a great vibe. This was like, get me off this fucking street as fast as I can. I know they're making some changes, but yeah. So thanks to Bruce Burke, thanks to the Texas tennis team for letting me crash. Stop by Book Austin, an amazing independent bookshop. Signed a bunch of copies of Lucky Loser, which are available for sale at Book Austin. If you want a signed copy, you can get it. I'll be doing the same thing at the Palm Beach, Florida, Barnes & Noble this Saturday. Book signing 4 p.m. I'll also be at the Breakers opening up some grass tennis courts with some great tennis players. Jack Draper wins Indian Wells. That's surprising. And Mira Andreeva wins Indian Wells. Kind of surprising. She's on a match win streak. She won Dubai. But I mean, I said it last week during this pod. Watching Mira, I'm like, oh, she's a woman now. She's a grown-up. She hits the ball. She responds like a grown-up. She's just bigger, broader shoulders. And that's such a weird part about this sport. But we are introduced usually to the women when they're very young. The men sometimes, you look at old footage of Novak Djokovic and it's like, oh, you were a boy. But really, really fun to watch her play and, hug her mom after she won. And it's just imagine all the journey they have been on together. She beat Sabalenka. She's been top 10 for sure. She beat a lot of people. She beat Svitolina 5-3 in the quarterfinals. She beat Swiatek 6-3 in the semis. And she beat Sabalenka 6-3 in the third. Jack Draper beat everybody too. Jack Draper beat Ben Shelton, beat Alcaraz 6-4 in the third. In the semis, that's who he beat, Alcaraz, and then he beat Holger Rune 2-2 in the final. And I heard Andy Roddick talking about it on his pod. The thing that's so crazy about Jack Draper is it almost feels like he can still get fitter. And that's not like we're like, oh, he's got holes in his back. And that's what worries me about Coco is I'm like, oh, it's the forehand. It's not like you can always improve your fitness, but the forehand, I don't know. Miami is going on right now. To me, it always feels like a letdown to go to Miami after Indian Wells, but I might be more of a, mountain guy than a Florida guy. What else is on here? Mothership, Desnudo Coffee. Excellent. Holy shit, that was a good fucking Americano. I miss it. Book Austin, Texas men's tennis, West Palm Beach, Indian Wells. Oh, yeah, a lot of people are sending me pictures of their book, Lucky Loser, with their dog. If you tag me in that, I'll repost it. Nothing better than a dog that can read. Upcoming dates. My next tour date is in Boston. We're doing City Winery on Friday, April 4th, and we're doing a book signing April 5th at the Harvard Bookstore. That's going to be freaking awesome. Then Toronto, then in April 18, April 19, something there. It's on my website, michaelkosta.com. And then at Hollywood Improv, April 24th, then the LA Book Festival. So very busy, very fun. I want to thank you personally for your support. What's crazy is that this has been around for a while, this project. And it's like a kid. It's like at some point it's going to leave the home. And then I'll be sitting here going, oh, I wish we could have spaced out some of that press. Wish we could have spaced out some of that attention, but that's not really how it works. So a year from now, I'm going to be bitching. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. Why would this keep... I'm probably doing snooze, right? That's got to be it. So, reset, start, stop, mode, light. I think I'm doing... It's just going to keep going. I need to put it in a fucking bathtub. Kill it. Every time it goes off, I lose my train of thought. So I'm sorry about that. But actually, you are now stepping into my life for a second. You wonder why people that don't have kids it's easier to work? Every 7 minutes, my fucking daughter's watch goes off. Thanks, you guys, for listening to Tennis Anyone podcast. Tuesday night, that's now. I'll be doing my new joke show down at New York Comedy Club. Thank you for the Nothing Major pod for having me on. Please leave a rating and a review. Please buy my book, Lucky Losers. We can try to get on some bestseller lists. Please, please, please. Love you guys. Game, set, match. Kosta.